Here we are, we meet again in terms of our program, our journey for the personal financial management journey. Okay, this is a journey that we're gonna do over a 2 months period. That's 8 weeks, right? So today we basically looking at the fundamentals of personal financial management. Okay, what we need to look at basically, we start off by looking at the 4 pillars of financial management, right? Where we want to look at debt, want to look at budgeting, want to look at savings and investments. So what we basically saying is uh, on a month-to-month basis, on a day-to-day basis, on an hour-to-hour basis, we are saying you have to be structured in terms of how you look at your personal finances. Otherwise, if you don't, then you are bound to have some problems or some challenges. And in terms of the first pillar there that we want to look at is the debt, right? So I think the paramount issue there in terms of that is to say you must be able to define what we call a bad and a good debt, right? What is a bad debt? A bad debt is where you actually access funding without an objective to recover from whatever borrowings you engage in. Because we are saying don't borrow unless you can borrow for a purpose. Don't borrow unless all the incidental costs that are related to borrowing can actually be covered or recouped from that type of borrowing. And when before you even borrow, you start off with, on a month-to-month basis, you are supposed to have a budget. And then in terms of your budget, you are saying what are my income streams? What is money that is coming into my bank account, and what is money that is getting out of that bank account? So this can actually be summarized through a budget system. A budget, that's what looks at your inflows, cash inflows and cash outflows, right? So this will actually be related to debt, because we are saying as you do your budget, your monthly budget, your weekly budget, your daily budget, you have got to take into consideration the monies that you have got to pay towards debt. And for every incomes, for every monies that you are actually getting on a month-to-month basis, you have got to think about emergencies. You have got to think about monies that you have got to save, or monies that you have got to invest. You have got to build some funds that will help you meet your livelihood expenses. Like it could be your medication, it could be your funeral cover when one member of your family or yourself passes on. You need to budget for that. You need to save for that. You need to make sure that you have got a reserve in terms of that. And then also savings. Savings, like I said, you have to have some money that you keep. But as you think about keeping that money or saving that money, you have got to think about several purposes that will be there. You've got to have some monies that is actually saved for emergencies. This could be like if you've got a breakdown, you're involved in an accident, someone is sick, if they are not covered by medical aid. So you've got to have that money set aside for that particular purpose. And the the other one is investment. Investment, you are saying out of all the money that you get, you are not supposed to use up everything. Let's have some money that we reserve for future uses, for future expenses, for unseen circumstances. And this is also the money that you can actually use to build up your wealth. How do you build up your wealth? You build up your wealth in the form of using those savings, using those investments as deposits in acquisition of properties, in acquisition of assets that are going to be used in your day-to-day life. So as on a month-to-month basis, we are saying, let's have a plan. Let's have a budget. Let's not have like unstructured spending. We know that a lot of people, particularly in economies like we are living in South Africa, we've got this challenge where you get your money today, you get your salary today, in the next hour or in the next day or two or weeks, that money is actually gone. It all emanates from the lack of planning, the lack of budgeting. So we are saying, as you move on, as you continue to get that money, please just have a structured way of spending. Let's avoid prompt buying. Let's avoid a situation where you'll be asked to borrow, or you'll be forced to borrow by circumstances because you've actually used your money. Where it starts, basically, it's each and every one of us, you know what your earning capacity is, you know what you are entitled to on a month-to-month basis. And it is very important that you structure your expenditure in line with your earning capacity, so that you don't, in terms of your expenditures, you don't have, or you don't find yourself with some shortfalls, because your shortfalls will actually force you to embark on some borrowing. And we know the challenges that come with borrowing. When you borrow, you are saying to someone else, can you lend me money that I don't have? Can you lend me money that you would have used in your own other facilities or expenses? And we know that this money does not come for free. It obviously comes at a cost, and that cost is the one that we are supposed to then start managing, because we are saying, as we get that money, someone forgoes the use of that particular money, and hence they've got to charge us some cost. They've got to charge us some borrowing cost. And with us, in order for us to manage that as an external expense, we've got to make sure that our borrowings are kept to a bare minimum. Thank you.